Let's talk about mastering open-edge query performance. It's been a long time. In 2019, right, since the last Pug Challenge over here, and the last time we did anything like this. So we thought it was time to kind of bring this back. I've done some of this material before. Some of you people have probably heard me do some of this material before, but I always think it's a good idea to kind of bring it all back together again. Some of it's new, some of it's you've heard before, but let's get it all into one slide deck here talking about query performance. I always tell people I'm not a programmer, but I end up having to deal with all of your code because I'm the one who gets the question, well, it's slow, why is it slow, what's going on? And if I just say it's the programmer's fault, you get angry at me and stuff. So kind of looking here for tools for you guys to use to find these query issues before you actually put code into production, all right? And as always, if you have questions, comments, concerns, please just go ahead and interrupt me. I don't mind, raise your hand. It's more fun that way, and it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I guess it's not that late. They did European time this year instead of American time, 7:30 a.m. First conference. All right. So I'll skip this slide. It's for the deck. You know what White Star is. Who's never heard of White Star software? Oh, one person. Oh, let me do it all. 2 people. All right.
I actually put my hand up so I could say someone actually put their hand up.
Okay. Right. The first heckler in the room is already here. No, we've been around for a long time doing this stuff. We're not a programming firm. We will not help you with your GUIs or your whatevers, but we will help you with the back end, with the migrations, and anything that has to do with the architecture and the databases. And I myself, in the next summer, will have reached the 30-year mark. Isn't that crazy? The 30-year mark that I'm doing this open-edge DBA stuff. And yeah, it blows me away sometimes. JC is here. I knew he's not here, but you know, he is in the back. There he is. You're hiding behind the heckler guy. Yeah, we started working together. At the time, it was the biggest progress bar in Canada, and we were working together 30 years ago, and 30 years later, we're back together again. So it's pretty crazy how things go. So what are we going to talk about? I'll cover some, first thoughts. We'll talk about tools, how to improve queries, and then Q&A. And again, if you have questions along the way, please don't hesitate to ask. All right. So what always happens? This is what the phone call you all get. The system is slow. You get it from your end users. They never tell you what is slow, right? God forbid they would tell you what is slow. The system is slow. Everything is slow. Sometimes it's code related and sometimes it isn't. And it's really important to be able to differentiate between when it's infrastructure related and when it's code related. But for this presentation, I'll assume it's code. And who's not a programmer in here? We have non-programmers in the back. Yes, Heather is not. So it's typically all of your fault, except for Heather and a couple of her in the back of the room. But yeah, so for this presentation, we'll assume it's query issues. But again, don't automatically assume it is. Especially, if you run the same thing at night and it runs really great, and you run the same thing during the day and it doesn't run really great, then it's probably some kind of configuration or infrastructure issue. But if it always runs horribly, then it's probably your fault. All right, so how do we find bad code? There's lots of different ways, but the two main ones I like to talk about really is you need some kind of monitoring and trending, right? And by trending, we always talk about ProTop. Obviously, that's the software that we sell subscriptions to for monitoring and alerting, but you can do it yourself. All the data is all there. And really the important thing is when someone complains about something, you need to know what the system looked like before they were complaining, and what does the system look like now that they are complaining. And most of the time, when we get these phone calls, people have no idea what the definition of normal is in their system. How many reads are going through the database? How much traffic is going across the network? How big was the database last month when everything was fine? We want to have a concept of normal. So of course, when you try to define abnormal, it's just never going to work. So you should have some kind of trending, right? You should know that every Monday, this is how many reads per second I do in the database. You should know that kind of information, all right? And I'll show you some ProTop real-time, ProTop RT screen captures. That's 100% free. You can download that anytime you want. I'm not showing you anything here that's commercial. All right? So who are our villains here? So in order to show you guys how to look at bad code, we've got some demo programs that Tom has written over the years. Churn.p is a program, reads a really, really small vacation table a really, really large number of times, right? We call them rapid readers. This is kind of what we'll see often in your code is you'll have a loop inside a loop inside a loop, and then inside one of those loops, you're reading a small table, but it's just like spinning round and round and round, and you're reading that same little table a gajillion times per second, and you wonder why everything is slow, right? And then Paul orders.p, I know I'm not a programmer, but someone let me near the procedure editor, and I wrote a little piece of code that just loops through all the orders and all the order lines, all right? And they're using what I call a big Sports 2000. So some number of years ago, we took Sports 2000, we fattened it up to about a gig or so, maybe a little more, just to create a database with a little more than 11 records in it, all right? So how do we find these terrible, evil churners and bad code runners?